And let's go here.
Right or wrong, our philosophies that come into the University of Michigan is still going to be a transformational experience rather than a transactional experience.
Hi there, welcome in. Dennis Fithian with you here. Michigan Football Today, Maize and Blue Review. We're here live weekdays at 1 o'clock talking about the latest in Michigan sports, and I'm so excited to get on. I had my picture there at the start up on YouTube, and I have this nice screen, this nice Maize and Blue screen that I put up to start and get everything going, and you'll be able to see that mistake right off the bat. But it's not really a mistake. It still looks all right. We're ready to roll. Welcome in to everyone. You want to call, get on Clubhouse, and raise your hand. You want to leave your feedback. We already have some of that coming in. We're not even a minute into the program. We've got some feedback coming in, and that is good. So it is Maize and Blue Review. We're a part of Rivals.com. And before we go any further, let me tell you about one of our outstanding sponsors. And support for Maize and Blue Review is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools. Join me and over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TMBR at manscaped.com. I just went to a graduation party. I went to a graduation party on Saturday, went to a graduation on Friday. You know what? A little money for the graduates, and then they are going to get in the mail Manscaped's Performance Package. It's the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. They'll remember me forever. So this is a great idea. Even if someone's not graduating in high school, I think they'd like it as well. College, for sure. And you can get one for yourself here too, but it makes for a great gift. It's my point. 20% off, free shipping with the code TMBR at manscaped.com. 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use our code TMBR and unlock your confidence, and always use the right tools for the job at manscaped.com. As we get into it here, we are got a few things to talk about. One is that Michigan is handing out some jewelry. We've got photos and opinions on what those necklaces are. Well, I'll give you my opinion on what I think of them, what they look like. Also, we have a local high school quarterback who you would think would be earmarked if there was ever a quarterback that was earmarked to go to Michigan. And yet, once again, it seems like he is trending towards not Michigan, but to Indiana in South Bend and to Notre Dame. We will get to that. Plus, Jim Harbaugh made some comments on name, image, and likeness on Thursday up at Ferris State at one of the camps. Friday, we were baseball heavy, talking all about baseball, so we didn't get a chance to talk about Harbaugh's NIL comments, but we do have that chance today, and that's where we are going to start. So Harbaugh, after a question or two about recruiting, got into a question. It was asked of him, his feelings on name, image, and likenesses impact in recruiting. And here's what he said. Right or wrong, our philosophy is that coming to the University of Michigan is going to be a transformational experience rather than a transactional experience. You may have heard the audio right there at the beginning.
Right or wrong, our philosophies that come into the University of Michigan is still going to be a transformational experience rather than a transactional experience.
All right, so there were a few assembled media there, and they asked some follow-up questions. Now, so the question to you, you have the name, image, and likeness is, the thing everybody's talking about. You get hit over the head enough with it, you're like, oh my God, is that all anybody's going to talk about? Or the transfer portal. Well, it's the top story of the offseason. You think about, changing up the divisions in college football, the possibility of expanding the playoff. That's always there as well. And college football is coming at you fast. And this is the top story. I mean, this is completely changing the landscape. You've seen it, how it's going to affect this upcoming year. Uh, when it comes down to recruiting, that's what we're ready to find out here. So you take all the big time coaches, as you take any big time coach, you take any coach, and you take anybody, and you want to hear what they have to say about it and what their opinion is going to be, because we don't really know how it's all going to work itself out. We know that there's one little measly rule, and that's that you can't have pay for play. It's not like you can promise somebody, hey, here's $1 million coming to Michigan. But you can say, hey, if you come to Michigan, you have the opportunity to make $1 million. Just some wording there, and you get around it pretty quick, and boom, you got $1 million in your back pocket. Now, Harbaugh. So you got to say, well, what did you think? Like, this wasn't the first time that I saw that he used a transformational rather than transactional experience, but this was when there were more than one member of the media there, and so he had an opportunity. So this has been something that he's thought about, and this is of course he knew he was going to be asked about it, and this was going to be his stance. Now, so you evaluate it if you're a fan or if you're somebody that worked in the media for a long time like me, and now you're covering Michigan. You say, well, what'd you think about what Harbaugh had to say? I don't mind his stance here on what he had to say about name, image, and likeness. However, if I was sitting in a room with him and he said, well, this is what I'm going to say when they ask me about name, image, and likeness, I'm going to say, hey, we're transformational rather than transactional. What do you think? I'd say, that sounds pretty good. It's a nice little line by you, Jim. I would also add, though, this is me talking to Jim Harbaugh. If I was giving him advice before he said this, I would say, hey, Jim, make sure that all of the high school kids out there that are thinking about coming to Michigan know that they have an opportunity to make as much money at Michigan as they do anywhere in the country. Now, I don't know what Jim would think of that, but if you're talking to, and he is, every high school recruit in America has seen this, that Harbaugh is saying, it's not about the money at Michigan. It's about the experience. Now, maybe this comes back to bite him, and he had a few opportunities to clear things up and to add on like what I'm talking about here. And let's look at some of those follow-up questions and his response. The next question was how much he's heard about name, image, and likeness. And Harbaugh said he heard about it a lot. There's talk about it. I just don't know how much is real, how much is accurate. Is it accurate or not? Is it like fishtail stories? I hear a lot. I don't know how much is real or accurate. All right, well, this is Jim here. Misinformation, what's going on? Let's go back to last year. Texas A&M landed, at 4, 5, 6, 5 stars. And there was, Saban accused him of buying the whole team, $30 million. That number was floated out there. I don't know about those exact numbers, but I do know that they were reeling them in down there in College Station at Texas A&M. And it wasn't just old Jimbo Fisher saying, come on, play for the Aggies. We got something special going. It had to do with name, image, and likeness. So he does know about that, talking about Harbaugh. And again, he's questioning the accuracy. That's all fine. But what he's doing out there to high school players who might see this, or any of their handlers, parents, coaches, or any of the other coaches, they're saying, that this is, there's not a lot here. Harbaugh is just saying we're not getting into the transactional side. Now, you could say that's not exactly what he said. Go back and read that again. He just said we're going to be a transformational experience rather than a transactional experience. Now, we could parse words all you want. What the majority of people are going to do is they are going to look at what Harbaugh said there, and all of those words and transformational rather than transactional, you know what that says? Michigan's not paying anybody to come on in. You could say, well, you can't do that. It's illegal. You just said that's the one rule. Okay, that's the one rule, but it's really easy to get around. This isn't sliding a suitcase over to somebody or getting somebody's third cousin or somebody, a big bag of cash. This is just saying to somebody, you don't have to say it. You could just have a booster say it. Hey, we'll give you $1 million if you come on in. That's all they have to do. And if you don't want them to say that they're going to give you $1 million, you can just say, hey, if you come on in, you have the opportunity to make $1 million. And in fact, here's the contract. So, and maybe you want to, clean up how you present that if you're the third party and just say, look, I'm saying we're going to give it to you, but I can't say that. So I got to say where you're going to have the opportunity here. So I can't sign anything, and I don't want to break any NCAA rules, but we'll match whatever anybody's giving you, and we'll give it to you. If you come here, you'll have that opportunity. That's a very easy way to get around, because that's cheating. Well, technically, if you want to say that, but I believe that if I had to put a number on it, I would say that 90% of the top 25 schools that are down in recruiting, that is exactly what they're doing. Look at the Ryan Day was talking about, what was he talking about? $12, $13 million in recruiting. Like, how can he even say that? Because he's not really promising it to him. He's just saying, hey, that's what our collectives are going to have to put together. And he's throwing out numbers specifically for QBs and things like that. And you got on the other, that's Day on one side. And on the other side, you got Jim Harbaugh saying, oh, we're not getting into the money side. That's the way it looks. So Harbaugh had one more opportunity before we get to your feedback, which is coming in the various avenues here. The next question was about how much or what can the NCAA do on whether he thinks something needs to be done nationally. And you can read it. I might as well just read it. I've always been for the student athlete being able to profit off their name, image, and likeness. It just makes sense. We could say the sale of jersey, for example, who should have some share of the profit? That would be the actual person rather than the institution. I think we can all agree that is something that's fair and right. All right, that's fine. And he is getting into, okay, so there's a part, you can make a little money. But that was it. There was no mention that players can make big time money at Michigan, that Michigan's going to be competitive as any other team of the Big Ten or any other team in the country when it comes to name, image, and likeness. There was none of that. And so if I am evaluating Jim Harbaugh on what he had to say on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm going to give him a failing grade. I'm going to give him a 4. I like the little alliteration, transformational other than transactional. That was nice. And it's good. It does it play to the fan base a little bit that the fan base that went to Michigan and is about the school. Yeah, for sure. Like, hey, you know what? We're not getting into the weeds with everybody else. We're just come to school here, forget everybody else. Well, okay. That's fine. And we'll see. Maybe it works out for Michigan in recruiting this year. Michigan just had a top 10 recruiting class, and maybe Harbaugh coming out and talking, we're not about the transactions, we're about the school. Maybe that lands them a bunch of 5 stars and 4 stars, and Michigan ends up being another top 10 with another top 10 class. Maybe they get up into the top 5. People are looking at, last year beating Ohio State in the Big Ten. Maybe that happens. But what you like to do, if you're somebody that's into this, is that instead of let's say we get to August and let's just say that Michigan's not having a great recruiting class. They're not even in the top 25. Because right now it's a little bit early to be looking at it and say, they're not doing really good, which they're not, but there's a lot of time. But when we get in late August, there's not going to be a lot of time. There's going to be like, whoa, they got a lot of room to make up in this theoretical not top 25 recruiting class. And then people are going to say, well, now you're second guessing Harbaugh and company. We want to get into some first guessing here. That's what I'm doing. And I think that Michigan is going to struggle to land the big time players, the 5 stars, the 4 stars. They got the highest rated player in this class is Raylan Wilson out of Tallahassee. He's a linebacker. He's thinking about where is he thinking about? Florida and Georgia's in the mix after he's already committed to Michigan. And maybe he'll end up signing on the dotted line for Michigan. But if I'm Raylan Wilson and I got Georgia saying, hey, Raylan, whatever the Gators are going to give you, we'll give you double. You want $1 million? We got $1 million for you. Come on and play with the Dogs. You can win a national championship. And then he calls up to Ann Arbor, and Harbaugh says, hey, our school's great. We got our academics are, second to none. Come on in. And you can make a little bit of money when those jerseys of yours are being sold in a couple of years ago. You get a little bit of kickback on that. And let's be I say be honest. Let's just walk through that. Now here's the thing: like Jim, he used to tweet, and you could tell he wasn't asking anybody else. He was like President Trump. He was just picking up his phone and he was tweeting away. A lot of times you'd say, "Wow, man, where's the filter? How come he's not asking somebody about what he's putting out there?" He has since stopped that, which is a good idea, mostly, unless you're going to go out and have people and talk about the statements that you're going to be putting out there. And I think in this case here, nice little idea of what you're going to say, but if I'm a recruit and I'm seeing this, I'm shaking my head and I'm saying I'm not likely going to Michigan. Now, he says right or wrong. I'm going to say right now, wrong is the philosophy. Now, Ken Harbaugh, because he had things to say in addition about he just doesn't know how much is real and how much is accurate. The next time, like he's going to be at a few more camps coming up here shortly. And there are going to be other reporters there. And the reporters say, "Hey, Jim, are you not, can we follow up again on that name, image, and likeness?" Could Jim then say, and listen really close and really look at those quotes. Is he going to say anything about, our players that come in, they're going to be as competitive as anybody. Michigan's going to be as competitive as anybody with the NIL. He could talk about wanting to do it the right way. That's all fine. But if it's more of the transformational rather than transactional, if he's just rolling out, it would be rolling out again if he doesn't expand on it at all. If he's just coming back out with the transactional and talking about, I don't know about any of these fish stories that I'm hearing, whoa. Or if he's over there just saying, yeah, well, kids can get a little money off the jerseys they sell, you can sit back and say, okay. Now, again, Harbaugh and company may get out on the recruiting trail and they just might start pulling in guys left and right. And we'll be sitting back and saying, wow, man, I'll be sitting back, I should say. I don't know what other people have said about this. I might say in a month, I got to give it to Harbaugh. He was going out there. It looked like he was being missing the boat. And that, he made some comments that, I would have expanded on. I gave him a failing grade on what he had to say up there at the camp, to sell Michigan to high school players. And look at him now. He's bringing in guys left and right. Got to hand it to him. Harbaugh, great job. Let's see. Let's see how it plays out. That's my opinion of how I see this particular situation with the name, image, and likeness and Harbaugh talking about it. Here's some of the feedback that is coming in. Antoine, is name, image, and likeness maintainable from a donor perspective? Are they actually getting a return on their investment? That's a great question, Antoine. If you were a high school or the junior, high school junior, and I was giving you $1 million to come in and represent a car dealership, you could say, wow, that's an awful lot of money. It's amazing. Like, one thing, advertising works. And in advertising, having a celebrity advertising, it works. I mean, who would say, you watch some of these commercials and you'd say, how much are they paying these actors to just sit around and say that they're using a razor or, to drink a pop or whatever they're doing? And look at sports in general. And look at how much Fox is paying Tom Brady. Tom Brady might stink as a broadcaster, and they're giving him $300-400 million up front just because of his name. So, those things are tricky. Advertising works. And the other part about this, if you're just forking over cash because you want to see Michigan win, that's where you got a lot of money, and it's not like you don't just give it and then get nothing in return. Like, there's a lot of people. What do people with a lot of money? I've talked to some of them. I don't have a lot of money, but I've talked to some people that have a lot. You know what they like? They like things like standing out on the sideline. You know what else they like? They like going to Paris and being on the Champs-Élysées out at a restaurant and sitting around and eating bread and their wives being able to talk with the coaches' wives. I mean, they like stuff like that. You get that kind of access if you're forking over millions of dollars in name, image, and likeness. And, you like, some people just like to see Michigan win, want to see them be competitive and win championships. Look, there's plenty of, you hear those advertisers like that advertise on, I would say Michigan radio, Michigan football that's on the radio. Like there's local watering company, drinking water. I'm not exactly, I'd say the name, but I'm not 100% sure, which is which. But, bottled water, that's some pretty good return on investment. Those things are, I say, tricky. Beauty in the eye of the beholder, but, there is some return on investment when it comes back to that. Are these donors willing to maintain cash flow? Maybe. Again, it depends, like who we're talking about and how much money. People point all the time how big Michigan's fan base is and, how many billionaires, millionaires, if not billionaires. And, a lot of times those guys just don't like throwing around money, but you see some of the endowments and you see some of the money that's donated to, some of the, different business schools and everything else. It's kind of the same thing. And what do some of those guys get? Well, it's given back to the university. It is philanthropic. It is, for a good cause. Who's to say this isn't a good cause? Seeing Michigan football win a national championship. Who's to say what people are going to do out there with their money? Okay, let's see some other feedback here. Jesse, sorry. I don't think the donors at other programs are worried about return on investment. They just want to see their school win. Well, Jesse, you're correct. I don't have the name of the guy in front of me. It was either Miami or Florida. I saw some quotes from one of the big time donors that put together the collective. And he's just like, did he say he just wants natties or he just wants chips? He just wants to see Florida win. That was his bottom line and what he was talking about. So there you go. Antoine saying, how about Michigan just targeting deals for quarterbacks and defensive ends? Well, those would be the highest paid. I understand what you're saying there. Let's see here. Deva on Clubhouse saying, what's up? Hey, what's up? It's good to have you in here. We're here every day at 1 o'clock talking Michigan. You ever want to call, get in on your message? We read them as we go in real time. So the bottom line here, this is what Jim Harbaugh had to say. Why can't it be both? Why can't? This is what I'd ask Jim if I had a chance to talk with him. Jim, it's nice, talking about the Michigan experience, and it can be transformational. Transformational is a great word. Yeah, it really is. And, going to college at Michigan, that experience right there, that is a home run wording. But the part about we're not going to pay people, and yet other schools are, flashing the cash and, and you can do it now. How about do you feel like you're potentially going to be left behind here? And he may want to go to the second part that he talked about. I don't know what you're talking about. We don't know it's accurate. That's not legal. And the legal part is an interesting one that you have to talk yourself through. And let's do that right now. In the years prior, Michigan they had their hill. And their hill was we're not going to pay players. It's cheating. And we all know that other schools did go that route. And what happened with the other schools, nobody got caught for doing anything. The NCAA didn't do anything. They're powerless. They can't do anything. And then overall, fans didn't care, mostly. And then most fans would say, these kids should be getting paid. They were getting paid. And even though it was cheating, everybody was like, you know what? Who cares? They should be getting paid. And those schools, is it a weird way to say that they were proven right? Because the Supreme Court came up and voted 9-0? Go ahead. Of course they should be getting paid. Not to say that all the schools that were following the rules, were stupid or anything else. That was their choice. They didn't want to get into those areas. They didn't mind getting into the arms race with the facilities, jumbotrons, all these different things, paying coaches millions of dollars. But when it came to the players, no, that's going to be our hill. I think these other schools, they've been proven, they've been validated. Like, yeah, they don't say this, but they might as well. Jimbo Fisher might as well come out and say, yeah, well, we were paying people. They should have been getting paid. I'm getting paid. Everybody else is getting paid. The school's making money, stacking it up as high as they can't even see over it. Yeah, the players should be getting paid. And now the language is about as flimsy and as weak as it could possibly be. And they're outwardly coming out saying, yeah, this is what we're giving out. So to go back on that hill and say, well, we're not going to cheat. We're not going to talk about signing bonuses and giving money up front. Okay. And again, it might work. And that might be a hill that you're saying, hey, if nothing else, we've got our values or whatever, however you would say it. It's always a trip. It's college football. Teams have been trying to cheat and get around things for as long as it's been going. And another time, maybe to get to this, it was always weird to me that Harbaugh brought in the biggest NCAA cheater and cash taken of all time and made him an honorary football captain. I know a couple of years ago. That didn't make any sense. But look, I'm not here to, go down that road and trash Harbaugh. I'm just pointing it out. Like when it comes down to it, maybe Michigan does want to get involved in giving some guys some promises about, making money because everybody else is doing it. And they should be able to get paid. So, however you want to look at it, again, I could sit around and cry about it all day. Maybe you think at this point, I'm doing too much whining, and I think you could be right about that. So let's move on. Okay. CJ Carr is a sophomore in high school, going to be a junior out of Saline, pro-style quarterback. And not this upcoming year, but the following year, he is ranked by Rivals as the third best, number one player in the state, third best quarterback, and then a top 22 in the country right now as a four-star QB, 6'3". He's got it. Most people know this story. Both of his grandfathers are in the College Football Hall of Fame. Lloyd won a national championship. There's no more of a Michigan guy than CJ Carr. His dad went to Michigan. His dad played football for Michigan, and his dad married a Michigan lady, a Michigan woman. I mean, this is maize and blue through and through. Well, a couple of weeks back, maybe a couple months ago, there's some reporters over there at Notre Dame saying, hey, we think he's going to Notre Dame. Everybody's like, what? He's going to Notre Dame? And then Carr, CJ, was out, I think this past weekend at some kind of Notre Dame camp, and he was throwing. And then the Notre Dame contingent over there of reporters again are like, he's coming to Notre Dame. And everybody's freaking out. Like, what? How can you lose CJ Carr to Notre Dame? It's a fair question. Because you would say if there was ever an automatic for Michigan, it was CJ Carr. Well, I get that thinking. I think it myself. Except that Michigan's got a stacked roster right now. And they also have a quarterback in Dante Moore who they're recruiting. And not everyone. I know. Like, I think that all of the top players should go to Michigan. I think that. I always hope that. And, it just doesn't happen. They elect to go for a variety of reasons to other places. And you know what they say a lot of times, even though, they might have inroads, they just want to blaze their own trail. They want to go where they feel the most comfortable. Like, I don't know what happens in South Bend when, CJ Carr, steps into Notre Dame Stadium, but, he might really like it. It's not a done deal, but people are freaking out a little bit about it. Am I freaking out about it? Not yet. I'm not freaking out because Michigan, this upcoming recruiting class. If Michigan gets Dante Moore, am I then going to freak out about CJ Carr the following year? No. Now, if Michigan does not get Dante Moore and, they got a hole then the cycle in their recruiting class. I mean, they could go out and get somebody else, but they put all of their eggs in the Moore basket. If they strike out, then it's going to be like, woo, what was the strategy here with CJ Carr? And there's some other guys that have yet to commit in that same class as CJ Carr. Maybe Michigan likes them more, and maybe they end up getting them. So there's a lot of things that have to play out before you get upset about CJ Carr and the possibility of him going to Notre Dame. But, because of the surname, because of his last name, you are going to freak out a little bit. And a little bit of that is understandable. Now, name calling, and all these other things that can happen in high school recruiting. You don't know what you're talking. Okay. All right. I get that. I'm just wading in, Antoine wading in on it. He thinks Carr going to Notre Dame is a good thing for Michigan. It might push Dante Moore closer to us. I don't think he would want to go to Notre Dame when another recruit is there. Possibly, Antoine. I can see what you're saying. Jesse says he thinks Moore and Underwood will be better than Carr. So if we could get those two, that would be ideal in his opinion. Well, remember, I think what I wanted you to remember is that the quarterback out of California in that same class of Carr, a little bit more highly rated, Sayan, out of the Golden State and Michigan. I think they said that Sayan was a priority. That may have cooled Carr off. And look, I'm not on the recruiting staff. I'm not Matt Weiss, the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach, or Harbaugh, who played a million years in the NFL and college and everything and evaluates these guys. But if they really, despite Carr, and then they know Carr's background, obviously. And if they went out there and they say, we like Sayan a lot more, just saying. And they went out there and told Sayan that, he's the apple of their eye, and that may have turned Carr off, a possibility. Now, I would say, look, don't you want a 4 or 5 star in the hand rather than a Sayan and an Underwood or something else in the bush? But hey, maybe they're shooting for, don't you want them to, reach for the sky or shoot for the stars, whatever the saying is, go after the very best ones? And maybe they slow played Carr and he didn't like that. I don't know. All those things are possible. You know it, and so do I. So stay tuned on that. The quarterback, it'd been a few years since I've been following just the day-by-day recruitment of players. I got to say that, following the quarterbacks in particular, not a surprise, that is really fascinating. And Zach Libby, who's our recruiting editor at Maize and Blue Review, and Josh Henschke, who's putting out a story, if not every day, every other day, about what's the latest and what Michigan's doing and how they're traversing the recruiting terrain and all of that. Is fascinating. And that's why you should get involved with Maize and Blue Review. You see me on there. I'm posting all the time, too. I was on there at 7 o'clock this morning saying stuff. All right. Ryan Days letting the donors handle it. Jesse's talking about, does anyone know if NIL is like donating to a charity, tax deductible? Well, let me think about that for 1 second. Probably. I don't know. Is it the Michigan football charity? I don't know. It is a good question. Okay. You already know Jim Harbaugh has put out the PC coach talk in the back room. He's probably talking to the donors. He probably doesn't like that, but he has to keep up. Well, maybe Antoine, and that's interesting, because when Nick Saban said what he was saying, people were saying, well, he wasn't really trashing Jimbo. What he was doing, he was putting a call out to the Bama donors that they need to pony up. And maybe that's what Harbaugh's doing. Maybe Harbaugh, maybe he's smarter than I'm not going to say that I think he is, but maybe he's just completely, playing chess when I'm over here thinking he's playing checkers. Maybe he's over there talking about education and we're not going to be transaction you. And he knows that people are going to start screaming and yelling, and they're going to say, hey, look, we got all this money. We're ready to fork it over. And they're going to come, they're going to call Michigan. Hey, here's our money. Give it to these quarterbacks. Harbaugh's crazy. So there is that possibility. It's a great point, Antoine. Harbaugh's out here outsmarting everyone. And, he knows that everybody's going to be, talking about what he has to say. And, he's being real sneaky here just to get Michigan out in front in the NIL. And I did say I'd like to give him the possibility a little bit in a month or so that if he started, reeling all these guys in, that I'd say, hey, sorry, Harbaugh, but we'll see. D's saying he agrees that Marcus Freeman as the new coach is a hot commodity, just bringing in the top recruits. But yeah, hard to figure, name, image, and likeness not involved. Well, remember with Notre Dame's playing it right out in front. They've got Brady Quinn, the former QB, who works for Fox. He has been quoted a number of times saying Notre Dame's collective is there. He's putting it together. He talked about it, and you mentioned being tax deductible. Come to think of it, Quinn talked about, he mentioned the church, Notre Dame and the Catholic Church, and he talked about it being a nonprofit collectible. Now, I thought that was weird initially when Quinn was like, well, so you're giving money to this collective that is a nonprofit, but the players are getting the money through, tax deductible. Maybe that's what's going on with Notre Dame, but they've been out in front. Oh yeah, Notre Dame has got the collection plate. I don't know if they actually, are handing it around the basilica down there and saying, hey, here's one that's going over the touchdown Jesus, and this one's going over the Freeman. Maybe. Good points coming in about the collective and name, image, and likeness. Notre Dame's 23 class. Notre Dame's class is number 1 right now. Notre Dame's killing it when it comes down to name, image, and likeness and recruiting. Yeah, and they're going back and forth on the chat. Notre Dame just got it going. Jaw-dropping class. And the Rivals 250. Yeah, they're number 1. They're doing great, guys. You are correct. Okay, we've got a couple other things to get to here. Let's do it. Okay, I don't know if you saw this or not, but the Wolverines are giving out necklaces, medallions, chains when they beat Ohio State, and they broke out the first edition this year to Team 142 by beating Ohio State. If you're just listening to the podcast, you can always come back, and if you look into the YouTube in the description, it will say talking about the necklaces, and you can go fast forward right to there. I think you'd want to watch the whole thing, but sometimes it might just be of interest. Like, I want to see those necklaces. You can do that. I break down all the videos that way through YouTube. It is also like that on the podcast too, if you didn't know, that if you wanted to skip forward. I listen to podcasts outside on my walk or sitting outside hitting some golf balls and taking care of my goats. So you have that opportunity if you want sometimes to zip forward to what we're talking about specifically. So the Team 142, there's the medallion. You get a little bit of a sense. It's a picture on a shirt there and what it looks like. And on the back, they have the score. Of course, you had, some of the rivals coming in and like, well, what are you doing? You're obsessing with Ohio State? And yeah, Michigan's obsessing with Ohio State. They should. For me, out of a 10, the idea of getting some kind of trinket for beating Ohio State, 1 being a terrible idea, 10 being a great idea, I'll give it a 10. 2, on this particular mint of medallion, I would have liked to have seen some other of the renditions. Like maybe it could have been, I would have picked something a little bit different. I like the helmet. I like that it says Team 142. Is it a little bit big? I mean, would somebody really wear this? I mean, maybe whenever I don't know how soon they can get it together. I mean, Are Michigan players walking around with these right now? Like, come walking in, yo, 142. Like, it's one of the greatest wins in Michigan history. So you should be proud of, the medallion. But I would say, see, we're all going to have our subjective opinions. That's a little bit big for me. I would think that you'd want it a little bit smaller. The back has the scratch with the maze in there. I love that part. I think that's great. Like I said, the front, I could live with that. Maybe I would have picked that one when I saw some other ones, maybe a little smaller, but appearance out of 10, I'll give it a 9. So, as it comes down to the idea of giving them a trinket and the appearance altogether, a 9.5 out of 10. I'm pretty happy. I think it's pretty cool altogether. Like I said, absolutely perfect. No, maybe a little downsized. Now that is just me. Deez likes them. Yeah. Come on, Deez. Now, as a Michigan fan, would you want to get one of those? I think fans, yeah, for sure. The back is really cool. It's got the scratches, and then below, you get the Wolverine scratch. That might be from the Wolverine. I'm not comic book and movie. I'm not even a casual. Like, I don't know much. That could be everybody. Of course, that's the Wolverine scratch. If it is, all right. I love it. I think it's great. 9.5 out of 10. Okay. So I say that's going to do it. Let's look around for some more of the messages before we go. I like people just giving me the maize and blue. The thing, or go blue. On Clubhouse, I haven't found a way yet to put the picture up on YouTube. I am seeing it there. So thanks to Jim, and thanks to, who's that? Lenny, Michigan Lenny, for saying nice show. All right, like that. Okay, before I go, today is a historic day. We have the Michigan baseball team. They are in action. I've been taking all the action in over the weekend. Michigan getting rolled by Louisville yesterday. They started out and they were looking pretty good. Let's see. Let's get you up because Michigan's in action right now. Let's see where they're at. All right. It is delayed. In a weather delay. That's why they moved the game up. Originally, it was going to be at 6. And then they said noon start because of the weather in the area. Michigan had a great start to this game. They put, 3 runs up in the leading off the game. And you're like, this is great for Michigan, only to see the Cards come back and put up a big crooked number in the first inning. When I first checked, I had 5-3. Maybe they got a ball, but this is not going to be the final score. We're talking about first to 15, maybe 10. Can Michigan score 10? Can they score 15 runs? Can they keep Louisville under 10 runs? Maybe not. Maybe the weather, maybe Mother Nature figuring that we better do something and cool off these Cardinal bats. So it's a winner-take-all situation for Michigan. After dropping that game to the Cards yesterday, the winner advances to the Super Regional. So this is it. This is a Game 7 type situation. Michigan has to do it. They're in a weather delay, and they are down 4. Okay, this is also the anniversary. I have a picture up on the screen that I've never shown to anyone before. I hadn't had these pictures for a long time. But what you're looking at here is a 14-year-old Dennis. And what I am climbing on are the pill boxes in Normandy, France. I was there as a 14-year-old and spent the day at Normandy. And today being the 78th anniversary of D-Day, I figured I'd just put this picture up. When you're 14 years old, you go and, you hear about history, but you go down on the beach. You climb up the sandy hills. You see some of the craters. I've got 2 pictures up there. You can see like steel in these, and there is another a little bit skinnier and a little bit more hair back in the day. But you can see where like the craters where the bombs landed. I'm guessing this was 1984, that they may have things like this roped off right now, climbing down inside of bunkers and trenches and things, maybe not that good of an idea, but it just, it had an impact when you're that young and you go to a place like Normandy and you go to the museums, you go to the graveyards there. It tends to stay with you. And this happened before Saving Private Ryan came out. And so then you watch Saving Private Ryan like me, and you'd been, and I climbed through all those bunkers and pillboxes and everything, and I was like, whoa! It was like a double whammy. I know bullets were flying at me, but man, the experience of being there and then watching the movie, like this is how it went down, and it was like whoa. And then watching, some of the other things that the Band of Brothers, kind of the same deal, but a full, direct, frontal assault on these fixed positions. Not the ideal type of attack, but they did it, and they needed a little bit of luck. They needed a lot of bravery, and the rest is history. 78 years ago today. If you are not following us on any of the social medias, you should. If you want to hear about recruiting and see recruiting up to the minute, you should subscribe to michigan.rivals.com, Maize and Blue Review. I'm there posting, responding to questions all day. Our experts are in there laying down the news and the breaking news all the time. It's a lot of fun for that Michigan fan in your life. Hook them up with a subscription to the Maize and Blue Review. We'll see you over there. We're also taking your calls on Clubhouse. And right here, TikTok. I saw some new followers. I've been saying, get the TikTok. At least check out the Maize and Blue Review TikTok. Some of you have. Thank you very much. Just think what I'll be able to do once football season gets here. Going to be some fun. All right, till tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And always leave those comments, and I'll respond to them. Certainly check them out and love to see it. Have a great day. Bye. It would help if I actually hit the end. There it is. Bye.